What's good, everyone? Welcome to episode 5 of the King McClure Show, and I'm your host, King McClure. Excited to be your home for everything news and notes, college basketball, and we have, once again, another packed show for you. We're talking Iowa State taking down Purdue. We're talking about BYU's comeback and who's the number one pick in the draft currently. And we're also talking about how UConn beat Florida and what are the issues with Florida, plus so much more. Hank, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's get after it.
Let's do it. All right, we're going to start with 15 on 15. If you've been watching it, you know how this goes. 15 minutes, 15 teams, the top 15 teams in the country. I'm telling you all about them, but I have a surprise for you guys, all right? And you'll see it at the end. Let's go. Coming in three. Wait, Hank, you got to put the clock. There we go. Coming in 3, 2, 1. Let's rock. We're going to start off with the number one Arizona Wildcats. And I'm going to keep this one short because I've been telling you for weeks that Arizona is the best team in the country, and they finally get this recognition that they deserve. They finally get that number one spot. Jaden Bradley is phenomenal. This team is rolling. They dominated Auburn. This is the best team in the country with the best resume. No surprise that they're the number one spot. Let's go. Number 2, Michigan Wolverines. We're going to talk about them a little later in the show. However, this Michigan team, in their last 6 wins, I want to say they've won by 25 points or more. They are on a generational run so far to start this season. Do I think they can continue this? I don't know. TBD. We'll see. We'll find out. But we'll talk about them later, right? Number 3, Duke. This is the Duke team who had a very impressive win on the road against Michigan State. If I'm being honest, I really didn't think they had that. I didn't think that they could go into Lansing and be able to pull out a win against a really tough, hard-nosed Michigan State team. I mean, the Michigan State team is one of my favorite teams in the country. Jamie Fears is one of my favorite point guards in the country. And what they did to them, what I saw Cam Boozer be able to do, I was extremely impressed. And that's high level. I still think they rely too heavily on Cam Boozer, and their guard depth isn't great. Don't hate me. It's just what I see on the film. But nonetheless, they are number 3. All right, number 4, Iowa State. Oh, we'll talk about them later on, but I love this Iowa State team. I love what TJ Altenberger is doing. I love I love everything about them. Traore, I love this team. Let's go number 5, UConn. We're going to touch on them too in the show later on. But when you look at their guard depth, something that Duke doesn't have, UConn has that. Malachi Smith off the bench, Braylon Mullins off the bench, Solomon Ball, Demery starting. Then you look at the veteran and Alex Caravan, who just really puts everything together. This UConn team is dangerous and they're special. Number 6, Purdue. They took a really bad loss to Iowa State, and I think we overhyped this Purdue team. I'm just being honest. I think we overhyped this Purdue team from the start. They are elite on the offensive side between Braden Smith being one of the best point guards in the country, Fletcher Lloyd being one of the best shooters, Trey Kaufman-Wren being one of the best power forwards in the game. They are elite offensively, but they don't guard well enough for me. Defensively, they're not good enough in order to be labeled the best team in the country. So I think that this right here, number 6 is a good spot. I think it's still a top 10 team in the country, but are they the top 3 or number 1 team in the country? No, 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 no. Pipe down, hold your horses. That's not who they are. They don't defend well enough in order to be up there amongst the best in the country. However, they are a top 10 team in the country. I like this for them, number 6, all right? Houston Cougars, they had a big win against Florida State with the game that I actually did. I thought it was an interesting game. I thought that Kingston Flemings was phenomenal. He just carries them. He's so poised. He's so mature for a freshman. He's having a phenomenal season. And truth be told, I don't think that this Houston team is even close to their potential, reaching their potential, or it is even close to where their ceiling can be. I think this year's team is more dangerous than last year's team. And the reason why I say that is because they defend that at the same level. However, offensively, I mean, you're dealing with 2 lottery picks and Sanak and potentially Kingston Flemings if he decides to leave. So you're dealing with 2 lottery picks. That's something they didn't have last year. So when you talk about 2 NBA players on the court, plus the level of defense in which they play, that's tough to guard. This Houston team could be a Final Four championship once again type of team. This might be the year of Kelvin. Let's pay attention to that. All right, number 8, we have Gonzaga, and this Mark Few team. They dominated Kentucky. It was a Kentucky team that, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on with Mark Pope, but this
We're,
Gonzaga
we're gonna
team,
get into that. We're gonna get into what's going on with
we
Mark
will
Pope.
get into that. But this Gonzaga team is old, they're veteran. The response of dominating Kentucky after you were dominated by Michigan, this is what you expect out of these men. These are not even young men, these are grown men. This is the response that you expect from these grown men. So I didn't expect nothing different, and this is who they are. They have a tough one against UCLA this week, which I think that they'll dominate and beat the brakes off UCLA. Let's go to number 9, Michigan State. They lost. They beat Iowa, which was a good Iowa team. Bennett Sturts holding down that point guard spot, and then they lost to Duke. That's a win. I mean, that's a loss in which it's a tough one. You were at home. You had a chance to really make a statement. You didn't make that statement, so now you have to bounce back. You play Penn State. You play at Penn State, and then you play against Toledo. I mean, 2 wins you got to have. It should bounce back. But we talk about culture, which is something we're going to get into later on in this episode. We talk about culture. Izzo has that. So because Izzo has culture and their culture and they pride themselves on toughness, physicality, I think they'll bounce back. I think the loss against Duke is just, I'm gonna say a fluke, but I think that they're better than that, and they will go show who they are moving forward. So yeah, you lose to Duke, respond. All right, number 10, BYU. Oh my goodness, the comeback Cougs. These young men, they love, I don't know what it is, but they love being down and they love a challenge. They love a challenge. They love being down by 20 plus. We saw that against UConn. We saw that against Clemson last night because we're recording this on a Wednesday, the night after the game, the night after the Jimmy V Classic. So this is an interesting BYU team. We'll dive deeper into them, but they're very, very interesting. All right, let's go to number 11. Louisville took a loss to Arkansas in which I wasn't very high on. I'm still not very high on this Louisville team. I think they have talent, but I think when you look at their guards, Michael Brown, you look at Conwell, you look at McNeely, they don't guard well enough for me. Now, clearly, early on in this episode, we're seeing a constant theme. I'm not huge on teams that can't guard. If you cannot defend your position, you will not win the games in which you need to win. So I don't think their backcourt guards well enough in order to be able to win super high level games. That's why I think they got exposed in that Arkansas game. They did beat Indiana, which Indiana's a really good team. But when you want to beat these really high level elite programs like your Arkansas or I mean, they did beat Kentucky, but Kentucky's struggling. It's all bad there. But when you want to beat these high level teams like your Tennessee that you have this week, I think Tennessee is going to absolutely dominate them because they're not physical enough. They don't guard well enough. And Michael Brown has to be more efficient. So if they can do those things, if they can correct those things, I think they have a chance. But as of right now, I'm not huge on this Louisville team. Number 12, one team I am huge on, the Crimson Tide, Alabama. Nate Oates, they have a really, really tough one Saturday against Arizona. Whew. You talk about 2 almost contrasting styles of basketball. Arizona's physical. They want to out tough you. They want to punk you. They don't shoot a lot of threes. They just put their head down and get to the rim and grind it out. Then you have Alabama that wants to just pace and space. They want to get as many threes up as they can. They want to spread the floor. LeBaron Philon will be so hard to guard. Philon versus Jaden Bradley. That right there is going to be an elite level matchup. Probably the best game on Saturday. I'm picking out. I'm not gonna say Alabama. I'm picking Arizona to win this game.
Oh,
Oh, I'm picking Arizona to win this game, Hank.
you
I'm
almost said
picking
it though.
Arizona to win this game. Yeah, I almost said it. I'm picking Arizona to win this game. I think that's my safe choice.
Jaleel
Not
Bethea back for
really a
Bama too. He's been killing it. But these might be the 2 teams you've been highest on so far this season. So I'm fired up to watch
facts.
this and then to hear your breakdown afterwards
Oh
as
my
well.
goodness, I cannot wait. Hopefully, my game doesn't interfere with this. I have Ohio State and West Virginia on Saturday. So hopefully my game doesn't interfere with this, but just know I'll be tuned in for
Also a
sure.
great
Let's go.
game. Also a great game. All right,
That
back to
should
it.
be a really good game. Should be a really, really good game. All right. Number 13, Illinois, who actually just beat Ohio State last night. I will be watching the film today. Didn't get a chance to watch it because I was so locked in to the Jimmy V Classic. But this Illinois team is just they're foreign. They understand how to move the basketball. They're high level. They're tough to guard. I think that's the biggest thing is that they're so tough to guard. They put you in positions where, as a defense, you're uncomfortable because you're always guessing what they're going to do. They can play inside out or they can play outside in. They're so versatile when you look at this team that as a defender, you never know what to expect. You never know what you're going to get because they have about 4 or 5 guys who can at least go off for 20 points on any given night. They're good. All right, number 14, North Carolina. They had a big win over Kentucky and then a massive win over Georgetown, which really isn't a bad Georgetown team. And I actually like this North Carolina team. Derek Dixon, welcome to the party. I don't know. I wasn't familiar with your game, was not familiar with your game at all. Derek Dixon can hoop. At the end of that Kentucky game, he just took it over. He took it over and he did what he was supposed, well, not what he was supposed to do, but he did what I didn't expect him to do, which was be able to hit that step back three, get to the cup, really put the game on ice. As a freshman, I didn't know that. We talk about Caleb Wilson, and he is an absolute freak. You talk about one of the most athletic people in this draft class. Caleb Wilson is a freak. But nonetheless, Derek Dixon, welcome to the party. You are good. Number 15, a new entry, a new team in this. Vanderbilt. Hello. Mark Bington. I'm sold. I am sold on this Byington. My bad, I'm tripping. I'm sold on this Vanderbilt team. You look at Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles. That's as good of a backcourt in the SEC as there is. Maybe not as good as LeBaron Fowler and Aiden Holloway, but this is a close second. Both of those guys can get buckets. Both of those guys are extremely efficient. Both of those guys can make plays for their teammates. You have shooting on the floor. You have bigs who are athletic, who can protect the rim, and you can be a lob threat. You have so much to like about this Vanderbilt team. But I love this Duke Miles, Tyler Tanner backcourt. They are extremely hard to guard. And I want to say Tyler Tanner is shooting over 50 from the three. I want to say he's a 180 guy, like over 50 from the three, 50 from the field, and over 80 from the free throw line. I want to say he is that. Don't quote me, but I'm like 98% sure.
I
But
got it right here.
nonetheless,
You're right. He's at 57 from the field, 87 from free throw, and 50% on the dot from three. That's I mean, I don't know
whoo,
where this Vanderbilt team came from, but I mean,
whoo.
with Miles and Tanner, dude, yeah,
Hey,
buckets.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I went to Baylor, so math isn't my specialty. But I want to say that's over 190. That's like 194, huh?
I think it is. I think I'm gonna have to break out the
Yeah,
calculator in the
that's
break
like
and,
that.
and
That's
get this
like
back
that's
to
like
you.
one.
But
That's like 194. Goodness gracious. Nonetheless, my man is efficient. That's what you should take away from this. He is efficient. All right. So that's your 15 for 15. And the surprise is I got it done with 3 minutes to spare. I really thought I would get it done with at least five, but
talk about
Vanderbilt's so
efficient though.
good.
Come
Yeah,
on,
Vanderbilt's so good and it's so efficient that I had to follow suit and be just as efficient. So that's your 15 for 15. And this week's falling, there's two notables. This week's falling Tennessee, the number 20, and Florida is now number 18. And after this loss, they might be out the rankings. They might be out. I'm sorry. For a four-loss Florida team does not deserve to be in the top 25. Does not deserve to be in the top 25. And that just goes, that basically transitions us into this next game.
yeah, I
All
was
right,
gonna
Jimmy V
say
Classic. The
let's.
Jimmy V Classic. Florida, UConn. Hank, what have I been preaching on this? I'm gonna put you to the test. What have I been preaching?
Baylor
What helps you win
students
games?
Baylor students are bad at math. Oh, no, guards win in March. Guards win in March is what I've heard from
Guards
you.
win in March. And for Florida, you put all of your money in the transfer portal in getting two guards. And if I'm being honest, I'm never a hot take artist, but I think this might be my first hot take on this show. Your return of investment has not been high when it comes to the money you spent in your guards in Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee. The return of investment has not been there. Late games, you expect your guards to go get it done. Last night was a perfect example. UConn, Florida, perfect example. UConn had four guards who at any moment could take over that ball game and do whatever they wanted to do. And they showed in spurts that each one could either play make or they could score. Well, Xavier Lee, okay, you had a much better game. And I've been really critical of this young man because we've seen what he can do. And now that he jumped levels, he hasn't done it. So you saw last night, early on in the game, he was good. I want to say the first 32 minutes of the game, he was great. Last 8 minutes, bro, where were you? You were nowhere to be found. You literally didn't show up. And these are the moments in which your team is looking for you. These are the moments in which that money that you made, I don't know how much he made, but I heard it was a lot. The money that you made, this is when people will realize, okay, this is why we paid him this money. But for you to now have 4 losses and it's not even January already, that's unacceptable. You can't do that. Same thing with Boogie Flan. And Boogie Flan against Duke, I'll say that he had his moments towards the end of the game where he tried to step up, but he still didn't get it done. He had that turnover at the end, which, I mean, before that he was good, but he tried. But Xavier Lee, bro, you literally drive to the lane, you get your layup blocked, you shoot that air ball, the step back air ball. Like it almost looks like Hank that this moment is just this stage is just too big for him. Like game on the line, it almost looks as if he's just not ready for this level. He's not ready for this moment. And the kid is so talented, but game in, game out, where are you? You're not producing. It's almost like we should take him. Just take him out the starting lineup. Like his minutes should decrease
I mean,
because he is not producing. The amount of money he's making versus the production does not correlate. It does not translate at all. So Hank, I am almost to the point to where I'm saying I'm out on this Florida team, and I'm out on Xavier Lee, and I still like Boogie Flan, but I'm almost out on Xavier Lee. I keep giving him chance after chance after chance, and he continuously proves me right time and time again.
look, the season he put together last year at Princeton, that was so fun to watch. But you said take him out of the starting lineup. I think you got to take him out of the closing lineup because he's been making plays. He had a couple passes over the top during the game that I thought were nice. But if you can't guard your position, if you're not being
Oh
efficient
man.
shooting the ball, 1 for 7 from three for Xavier Lee in the game, you can't be out there with the game on the line. And then Boogie Fland, you got to mention it. They had a chance to tie that game, and he couldn't get the inbounds pass in within 5 seconds. And look, I've
Well,
never been in
okay,
that moment.
but
I
you
mean,
can't.
yeah,
Okay, you
yeah,
you can't you can't blame Boogie for that though, because if
okay,
you look at all the angles, I will say this right.
yep.
UConn guarded that perfectly. Like if you look at everywhere on the floor, there was nowhere where he could cleanly throw the basketball. I blame his teammates for that. And I will say this. This is what I will say about this veteran Florida team. If you want to talk about under a minute when you're down by multiple possessions, if you want to talk about how to execute, this was a beautiful way. This is a beautiful example of how to execute in the clutch in the last minute of a game. Because they worked themselves all the way back to where they had a chance to tie. We originally, when you look at it, I think they were down like 7 points. I don't know. I don't know the specifics, but they were down multiple possessions, and they worked themselves all the way back. They fouled beautifully. And then at the end, where they finally got that steal, they didn't go for the foul immediately. That was a veteran play. They trapped him on the sideline. The guard expected for the foul to come. The foul never came. So they were patient, and which took off like 3 or 4 seconds, but they were patient, and the ball goes off on the offensive player. This was beautiful execution from a veteran Florida team. However, you have to inbound that ball right there. You have to get it in. But I can't blame Boogie Flan for that. I have to blame the rest of his teammates because nobody got open.
All right. Tell me a little bit about this UConn squad because we're facing my Longhorns on Friday. I'm not optimistic. I told you already this is a game I might have to turn off at halftime based on
Man,
what we've seen from solo ball so far. How
man,
worried should I be?
your Longhorn squad is in trouble. Absolutely in trouble
Yeah.
because this UConn team is so dangerous. We talk about the plethora of guards. We talk about inside they can do it with Kreba and they can do it with Terrace Reed. Then Caravan is just a glue that just is a really, really good basketball player. He shoots it, he makes the right decisions. Then we talk about the mastermind and Dan Hurley that just puts it all together. This team, in my opinion, is a lock, a Final Four lock. So when we talk about in a few months, when we talk about my Final Four predictions, UConn will be in there, and I assure you of that. And we can clip this. We can clip this right here and save this for later on and play it. But UConn is a Final Four lock.
We're
This
going to
team is
clip
that level
this.
of good.
We're
We
going to
we,
clip
we have
this.
to because UConn is that level of good, Hank. They are that good. Every single time I see them, they have everything that you need in order to win a championship or to at least compete for one at that level. And they understand and they expect to win. They expect to win. It's an expectation how to execute down the stretch. They have everything you need in this in a championship team, right? So we got everything you need also when we come back. But we got to take a break and then we will be right back. And we're back. And right now we want to talk about a team spotlight. And I think that you should know what team we're spotlighting because whew, they're a team that doesn't get a lot of love. But after what we saw last Saturday, that should change. The Iowa State Cyclones. Hank, oh my goodness. Did you watch the game?
I did not watch the game. I'll tell you what happened. I got the notification on my phone that Purdue went down, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize they were playing Arizona this week. Like I didn't know they were matching up against Duke. And then I clicked on the article and saw it was Iowa State, and I texted you. I said, who won what? So you got to tell me where this team came from. I know they were top 10, but this is not a team that was on my radar. I wasn't paying attention to them as a powerhouse in this country. So please, King, tell me how this happened.
So, okay, here's my thought. As I pull up something real quick, let me see if I can get to it, because here is my thoughts on this team. Right, when we talk about culture, which is a conversation in which we can honestly just blend in this conversation with this Iowa State team. We talk about the word culture, all right? Culture to me is every single year, year after year. There's an expectation, there's a standard in which your team has to meet in order for you to have success. So, okay, we talk about Iowa State. This is a program that doesn't get love. It doesn't even get talked about when it comes to having a culture. When we talk about culture, Hank, who do you think of when we use the word culture?
I would have to put Houston first and foremost based on our conversations. There's probably a couple of the older coaches, the mainstays that we could throw in that group as well. But I want to hear from you.
For sure. So when we talk about culture, I would say that the top 3 schools in the country, when you talk about culture, number 1 is Houston. I mean, Kelvin Sampson, that program is 100% culture driven. So we talk about Houston, number 1. I would say number 2 is Iowa State, right? But let me give you the other ones. Number 3 is Michigan State, Izzo. Number 4, as an honorable mention, is Shaka Smart and Marquette. And I think the thing that all these teams have in common is that they're never going to change their identity. You as a fan know the identity of all these programs. You know the identity of Houston. Any fan that follows college basketball, I walk up to you and I'm like, hey, tell me about Houston basketball. They're always going to say they're physical, they're tough, they play hard, they rebound. Like you know that's the brand of basketball they're going to play. Same thing with Izzo. If you're a high-level basketball fan or college basketball fan, you're going to say very similar things. When we talk about this Iowa State team, right? And I think the difference is, Hank, is because this Iowa State team's culture is newer. Because when I played against Iowa State, which really wasn't too long ago, right before Altenberg got there, it was Prohm, and then I think Prohm was my last 3 years, and Hoiberg was my first year. Iowa State was known as a high-level offensive team. Them dudes used to run plays on top of plays on top of plays. And you talk about as a defender, you being lost. I remember my freshman year, it was like Monte Morris, Matt Thomas, Georges Niang. I forgot homie, Deontay Burton. I forgot the other wing that played in the league too. That team was stacked. But you talk about they ran some of the most incredible offensive sets I've ever seen in my life. That's who they were. Offensively, they were special, but they didn't care to guard. Even my senior year, when you look at Taylor Horton Tucker, you look at Chris Babb, Mario Shayok, I mean, that team was offensively gifted, but like they didn't guard. Now, when you look at Iowa State, so ever since Altenberg has gotten there, they continue to now build upon this culture. And when you talk about culture, culture is something that never wavers. So no matter who you insert into the lineup, no matter who leaves, no matter who comes up, you will still have the same success because you already have that culture. So now we see guys like Torrey. Now we see guys like Bateman, these 2 freshmen who came out of nowhere, right? These 2 freshmen who everybody's like, hey, who are these dudes? Who are these dudes? because you lose Gilbert, you lose Curtis Jones, and you replace them with these two freshmen. Who are these two freshmen that nobody talked about? But the reason why they're able to have success already is because there's an expectation, the standard that Otterberger had from the jump. So now when you add guys, you add them to the mix of Joshua Jefferson, Lipsy, and Momchilovich. Now that makes that team that much better. So this Iowa State team, I say all this to say Iowa State has culture. And because of their culture, they're still able to have success. And now when you mix a little bit more offensive talent with that culture, they are that much better. So this Iowa State team is better because Torrey, this freshman, Killian Torrey, he is better than Gilbert. Now, I don't know if they can replace Curtis Jones, but I think you do it by committee. You don't do it by just one player. However, in that starting lineup, Torrey is better. Torrey, honestly, might be the best guard on Iowa State. Don't hate me, it's facts. Torrey is better than Lipsy. Lipsy's just a veteran, and you love what he brings to the table. He's a leader. But offensively gifted, Torrey is the best guard that Iowa State has. He changes everything for them. Offensively, defensively, he changes everything. They get after you as a squad. They pressure you. If you look at where Purdue was starting their offense from, they were starting their offense 3 feet beyond the three-point line. They could not get into their sets cleanly because of how Iowa State pressures you and how physical they are with you. Like they just wear you down. And that is the culture that TJ Otterberger presents. So I was really impressed with the culture, with how they won this game, but I'm not surprised. And I'm not surprised because when you talk to Otterberger, that's just who he is. He is so intense. He's so focused. He's so locked in. He has these guys playing at a high level. And this Iowa State team, it has a chance to win the Big 12 this year. I know everybody's trying to give it to Houston, but this Iowa State team can win the Big 12 this year for sure, Hank.
All right, so back to this culture conversation for a second. We have talked about this before in terms of, coaches that can get a certain play style can get more out of their players. And when you look at, that's one of the most beautiful things about basketball. It's an inherently individual sport, right? One guy has the ball, he wants to put it in the bucket. But how can you sacrifice for the good of the team, make the people around you better?
Yes.
And so what's happening at Iowa State, maybe that's an example of that. But then let's look at, other teams around the country. We touched on Houston, who can inspire that. What's another team that maybe even on a lower level that you think is working towards that or will be able to pull that off this season?
I'll tell you somebody who kind of has had a culture, but it's a little different. McNeese. McNeese kind of had a culture with Will Wade there. And they just had, number one, the culture of winning and expectation to win and to be in the tournament. And number two, the style of play. They were going to defend and speed you up every single time. Like, it's almost like you know who your identity is, regardless of the level. And McNeese is one who I could throw into the mix. I don't necessarily know if they'll be the same team this year. I mean, they've been kind of successful so far, but we'll see later on. But there's a lot of teams out here that struggle with culture. And part of the problem with culture today, Hank, is it's hard to establish a culture when you constantly have when you constantly have to deal with transfers and deal with players leaving every single year. So I think that's the hard part in establishing culture, because another thing you can look at when you look at all the teams I mentioned, look at all the teams that I mentioned earlier in Houston, Iowa State, Michigan State, and Marquette. They all have one thing in common. And what was that?
They don't take a lot of transfers. They recruit and they develop.
They recruit, they develop, but they're able to return their core group of guys. So it's easier to establish a culture when you're able to have that same core, the same nucleus constantly return, because not only do you hear the culture or do you hear that being pushed and preached from the coaches, you hear you have that same expectation being trickled down into your leaders on the team, into that core and the nucleus that continue to remain with your program. So I would say it's hard. It's so hard because you have so much roster turnover to really be able to build culture. But Otterberger, Sampson, Izzo, Shaka Smart, these guys do it better than anybody in the country right now. And I stamp that. So, all right, we got to take a break because now we got to get to hot or not when we come back. Hank is going to tell you who's hot, who's not. I'm going to either agree or disagree. We'll see who is burning, who is ice cold, who is, I don't even know. We'll see when we come back. All right, y'all. And we are back. All right, let's get into hot or not. Coming in first, who is hot? This BYU team. That right there was a big time win against Clemson. First off, they had no business being down that much. Being down by 22, letting Clemson go on a 21-0 run to close the half, absolutely unacceptable. Nonetheless, they find a way to come back. The comeback Cougs find a way to do it, and they actually closed this one off. They couldn't do it against UConn, but they did it against Clemson. So shout out to Kevin Young and the Cougar squad for being so resilient and always fighting back. Nonetheless, you can't keep putting yourself in that type of hole.
Yeah.
However,
I love the quotes from the Cougars saying, they were like, what did Kevin Young say to you at the half? And they were just like, he just said guard. He basically, all he said is play defense. And there was some 4-letter words mixed in there as well, which is, not ideal for the BYU image probably, but yeah.
But listen, you better guard. Whatever he said, message was well received. But this gets us into an interesting topic. For me, Hank, I don't know if you feel this way, Hank. This might be a little different. You might feel a little different. However, after what I saw last night, it's pretty much summoned. It's pretty much a wrap. AJ DeBansta is your number one pick in the draft. He's your number one pick in the draft. You saw everything you needed to see out of number one pick last night. When it comes to the eye test, when it comes to his ability at 6'9" to be able to take over the game, not just scoring, but facilitating in the fashion in which he did, he has star written all over him. Now, if we were to talk about these top three between Peterson, Boozer, and DeBansta, I think Boozer has really good NBA player written on him, for sure. Really good NBA player, safe pick. Darren Peterson, I think, has star written on him, for sure. He's a star. AJ DeBansta has superstar written on him. Superstar. You saw him take over that game when it mattered the most. And granted, Peterson's been injured. I understand that. But I haven't seen a performance when it comes to just taking over the game in the fashion in which we've seen him do it twice against UConn and against his Clemson team. I haven't seen that. We've seen Cam Boozer be a great college player because that's what he is. He's a great college player. He'll be a really good NBA player, but I don't think I don't think he's a star in the league. I do not think Cam Boozer is a star in the NBA. I don't see it. He plays below the rim. He's not really a freak athlete. He doesn't have enough wiggle to play the four. Mind you, him and AJ DeBansta are the same size. He might be an inch taller than AJ DeBansta. He's about 6'9" or 6'10", but that's about it. So he should be playing a four, but he doesn't have the wiggle to be able to play the four. DeBansta is 6'9", playing the two, playing the one, playing the three. He's a lot more versatile than a Cam Boozer. Same thing with Peterson. Peterson is a 1-2. AJ DeBansta can play 1 through 4, and he's a more versatile piece. I think that's what separates him, and that's what makes him a superstar. He is so versatile, he can fit into a lot of different systems because he can do more. He's a better defender than both of those guys. He's more athletic than both of those guys. He can score better than both of those guys. Like I see number one pick in AJ DeBansta, and I see superstar written all over him. If you don't draft him as your number one pick, you are absolutely tripping. We'll add you to the Who's Tripping segment later on in June if you don't draft the number one. But AJ DeBansta is your number one pick. Hank, you disagree, agree? What you think?
I agree. I mean, look, I think we still haven't seen the best from Peterson that we're gonna see, but that game from DeBansta, man, like, come on. I like the way you put it. He's got superstar written all over him. Can I keep us moving to our next hot team this week?
Let's rock.
All right, Michigan. We were here last week, but now somehow they've gotten even hotter. You mentioned it, 6 straight wins by 25 plus points. Big Yaks. I questioned him early on. I apologize. He's leading the country in plus minus, and he's doing it with a usage rate that puts him at like a role player. So, I mean, King, tell me about this Michigan team real quick.
We talked about them having the best front court in the country. That's not a joke. In Mara and Morez Johnson, and then you can throw Yaks into that front court, and you could throw him into the back court because he's so versatile. He is a guy that doesn't need a high usage rate because he can get it done in a myriad of ways. He can post up. He can just be a spot up shooter. I mean, we talk about AJ DeBanster being versatile. That's everything that Yax is. He's a versatile piece. So as a result of him being a versatile piece, there's nothing on the floor he can't do. With him in the game, he can play the two, he can play the three, he can play the four, or he can play the five, and or he can also bring the ball up if you need him to. He can do everything on the floor. So he does need a high usage rate because he's a plug and play guy that can really play in any type of environment or system and have success. So they're phenomenal. They're good. I think this hot streak will come to an end because they're a little too hot. This is a little too good to be true. So I'm not gonna put all of my stock in Michigan yet, but as of right now, they're looking really good. So let's go to not real quick. Who's not hot? Kentucky. Kentucky is not hot. Kentucky does not look good. Kentucky does not look like they're on the same page. They look lost. They look like they need some answers, and they have not figured them out. This is disappointing because it was word and rumors going around that they spent north of $20 million on this roster. So no way you spend north of $20 million on this roster, and now in week 6, you aren't even ranked. That is absolutely unacceptable. And my guy Alvin Brooks is on that coaching staff. He's the associate head coach. Shout out to AB. Love you to death. They have not looked good. They have not looked good. The only time they look good is when they played Purdue in the exhibition game and they just mollywopped them. But ever since then, I don't know. I think that was a fluke. I don't know who this Kentucky team is. They look like they have no identity. We talk about culture. There is no identity on this Kentucky team. Kentucky has no idea who they are. They have no idea who their go-to scorers are. They have no idea who their roles, the roles are. They look lost.
I will say, not for nothing, Mark Pope seems to be trying some stuff now. He benched Brandon Garrison just 7 minutes into the game. It was like turn the ball over, jogged back, and Pope sat him down for the rest. They've got other starters and contributors from earlier in the season who are taking little timeouts, getting less minutes now. The quotes coming out. I mean, I love an angry basketball coach quote. I do. From Mark Pope, it was, I was disappointed in our defense. I was disappointed in our fouls. I was disappointed with the late gap help. I was disappointed with our ball screen pressure. This is after they allowed 67 points to NC Central. That's it. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's not a great team, and I'm sure you could always expect better from your boys, but angry Mark Pope, man, if he can pull them back together with just vim and vigor, I'd like to see it happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't press the full panic button on this Kentucky team. I wouldn't do that. I still think they'll figure it out. But right now, this is just it's not a good look. But I think part of it, Hank, is the fact that when you have so many guys, because one thing I texted AB right after the Purdue game and was like, man, are y'all like this? And he goes, this is the deepest team I've ever been a part of. Mind you, AB won a championship at Baylor. So he said, this is the deepest team I've ever been a part of in my life. So I think that that's a good thing. But in today's day and age, when we talk about the transfer portal and everything, that can also work as a bad thing as well. Because now you have to find a way, because you're paying these guys, you got to find a way to put 10 to 12 guys on the court. And not all 10 to 12 guys should be deserving. So therefore, you got to find ways to kind of sort of shrink that down and really only play your 8 guys who are going to compete and play the hardest. Because right now, that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing too many guys go out there, not giving their all, not giving 100% effort, and struggling to be able to get it done. So Kentucky, you're not hot this week. And let's transition, because Kentucky is tripping, but there is somebody else who is tripping. And it's one of my favorite segments. Who's tripping? All right. I know this is a basketball podcast. This is a basketball show, but we're going to take it to the football field because, Hank, I have no idea what in the world Phillip Rivers is thinking right now. You are 44 years old and haven't touched a field in 5 years. I have to say weeks, 5 years. You have grandkids, sir. You about to go up and play against the Seattle Seahawks, who has been honestly arguably one of the best defenses in the league as of recent. Hank, what is Phillip Rivers absolutely thinking? For you to you are risking injury. Listen, I saw earlier Swagoo and Stephen A was just saying, look, we gotta pray. We gotta say a bunch of prayers. Like we just gotta pray for Phillip Rivers. Do we pray that he can leave? He can come in and leave the same way. Because you talking about injury to all of your quarterbacks, which how unfortunate is that? A year that the Colts are having to now have all three of your guys injured. I mean, between what's my man who was killing it this year, Daniel Jones,
Danny Dimes, Indiana
Anthony
Jones. Come
Richardson,
on.
and then Riley Leonard, to have all three of your quarterbacks be injured in the same year is absolutely crazy. But to be so down bad that you got to get a 44-year-old,
All right.
you got to
All right.
get a 44-year-old.
All right. King.
And
You gotta let me defend this guy. Look, yes, he is a literal
oh my
grandfather. Like he
gosh.
has grandkids, and I understand how ridiculous. He's older than 12 current NFL head coaches. All right, and I know how that sounds. I know how that sounds, but the man loves ball. You can't hold him back. Like and right now he's only on the practice squad. We were talking about this earlier in our office here at Blue Duck. Like, how many halves of football do you think he's actually gonna play? I think he'll play 2 halves in 2 different games. Like, I think if we see any Phillip Rivers, it'll be a little bit of him. It's a fun PR stunt, you know. But at the end of the day, like, the man loves football. He knows Shane Steichen. They go way back with the Colts head coach. That was his like first QB coach back when he was in San Diego. So he knows he can run this offense hopefully pretty well. Look, this season for the Colts, it started out so nice, but when they lost to that Jaguars, like they could miss the playoffs right now, and they traded away their first round pick this year and next year. Their
Man,
cornerback who's not on the field right now. So let's spin this for positive, please, King. Like, the Indiana fans in your life, they need to hear this.
we can't, no, we can't spin this positively. We cannot. You're so down bad that, because then here's my thing. If you're not gonna play him, then why do you have him?
Like, he talks smack. He gets the boys fired up. You know, like I don't know. Look,
But why? Like,
chances are their
why?
quarterback will be Brett Rippon on game day. You know, although he's also dealing with a little injury right now. He's I think slightly banged up. I saw so I mean, but he's an insurance policy where I think they're hoping he can be high floor, like, because he knows to play the game. You won't get like what Max Brosmer did when he came in for Minnesota. Against the same Seattle defense, by the way, earlier in the season, like getting sacked. What was it, 7 times, something like that, and throwing 4 interceptions? I could have those numbers wrong, but I mean, you want a professional in the building.
My problem is, right, as a competitor, if I'm the Seahawks and you put a 44-year-old man that has not touched a field in 5 years, and you think you about to just let him sit back here and throw dots, and we're gonna allow that? Boy, I'm fired up. I'm finna touch you at least a few times.
Okay.
You finna get hit, and he might not get up after the second or third one.
This is the right point. Like, I want to see Phillip Rivers out there. It better not be this week. Let me throw one thing at you though, King, before we get out of here. This is from a friend of yours and someone I like in the college basketball media, Ryan Hammer. He's made this point a couple times. Every national champion team since 2004 was ranked in the top 12 in the Week 6 AP poll. That also includes 35 of the last 36 national champions. Well, we just had Week 6. Here is the AP poll. Which of these teams is winning the national championship, King?
You know what? I'm going to go with Iowa State. Let's go. Iowa State Cyclones.
Hey.
Let's go Culture. Let's go Otzelberger. Iowa State. Let's get it done.
Big win for Culture. Anything else for us, King, before you sign us off today?
Once again, Phillip Rivers, you're tripping, and we're going to say some prayers because I am so concerned for his health and his safety. And Hank is also tripping for trying to defend this man to get back on the field.
The man loves ball. He loves ball.
He can love ball all he wants, but love it from afar. Love it from not being on the field. All right,
love it from your couch.
For sure. But look, if you love us, subscribe, like, rate, whatever you want to do will be greatly appreciated. Until next time, me and Hank are out.